So you want to live near the water without flirting with financial ruin every single month? Good news. Turns out you don't need to be a tech millionaire or win the HGTV Dream Home Sweepstakes to make it happen. There are towns on the water in this country that aren't for millionaires only. And that's what we're looking at today. Some of these towns are expensive, but not so expensive that like the starting money you need to buy some real estate is $1 million. No, not that expensive. Some of them are downright cheap. In today's video, we're diving into 10 charming waterfront towns across the United States. These are places where the sunsets are free, the neighbors say hello, and retirement near the water is within reach for a lot of us. We're talking Great Lake getaways, Gulf Coast gems, riverside retreats, and some oceanfront dream spots. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Florence, Oregon, where forest meets the foam. Nestled along the Cedar River and just a few minutes from the Pacific Ocean, Florence is what happens when pine trees and saltwater decide to start a retirement commune. The history here is steeped in logging, fishing, and the kind of pioneer grit that requires a lot of flannel and even more patience. The Old Town area still holds that vintage Oregon charm with boutique shops, seafood spots, and buildings that look like they survived the Wild West with some class. These days, Florence is a haven for retirees and nature lovers who don't feel like competing with Portland for overpriced everything and bum fights. It's quiet, green, and misty most mornings, basically the Pacific Northwest starter pack. But don't let the calm fool you. Florence has some edge, especially when the wind picks up along the sand dunes or when the sea lions start getting loud. This place is known for its fishing too, especially steelhead. Saw some great videos with huge steelhead they're pulling out of this river. And the ocean right in front. The Cedar River Bridge is both functional and photogenic, which is basically Florence in a nutshell. You'll find ocean, beaches, hiking trails, and dunes all within a short drive. It's one of those places that sort of feels like taking a deep breath, the kind you take after leaving the chaos of a city life behind. And hey, the average home value here is only $427,000. That is not bad. You get peace and quiet, pine-scented air, and no HOA nonsense. Florence might not be flashy, it definitely isn't, but that's kind of the point. It's a coastal town that minds its own business and lets you do the same. The other cool thing, their livability score is 74. Now, we kind of talked about this before in one of our previous videos, that if you're looking at livability score, anything below, let's say, 64 on down is not a great place to live. When you start getting in the 50s and the 40s, don't move there. Now, anything above 65 to, let's say, 72 is decent. Once you start getting in the 75 areas, it's pretty good. Get over 85, really good. And if you get over 90, we're talking gated communities with $5 million homes, and no crime, just happy people, all that stuff. There's taking baths and wine and throwing money at each other like we do snowball fights. Those type of people and those type of towns. That's over 90. Florence is a nice 74. Number 9, Southport, North Carolina. Porch swings and shrimp boats. If a Nicholas Sparks novel came to life and decided to build a town, it would probably look like Southport. Located along the Cape Fear River and minutes from the Atlantic Ocean, this southern gem is dripping with charm and warm weather most of the time, and thankfully not overpriced yet. It was founded in the 18th century, and the history oozes from every street corner with old homes, live oaks, and more rocking chairs than people. Southport is the kind of place where downtown means antique shops, waterfront restaurants, and people who are friendly because that's how they were brought up. It's not just a vacation town either. There's a strong community here, and folks actually stick around long enough to know their neighbors and your spouse, and maybe even your kid's name, and they call you when your kids are, out doing some nonsense. We had an old lady across the street from my house growing up and call my mom all the time. Whenever my mom go out of town, this woman was like keeping a record and call my mom and give her all the updates every time she came back in town. In Southport, you got waterfront dining. Definitely. Shrimp boats coming in at sunset. Yep. Porches with ceiling fans and iced tea. Absolutely. It's got that slow southern pace without feeling stuck in time. The average home value here is only $410,000, which is just a little below the national average right now. They got a livability score of 75, like we already discussed. That's decent. And it's kind of a nod to how balanced life here is. Whether you're retiring, remote working, or just escaping big city burnout, Southport lets you breathe easy, and preferably with a crab cake in your hand. Number 8, Escanaba, Michigan. Small town, big lake. Escanaba doesn't make a lot of national headlines, but maybe that's a good thing. Perched on the northern shore of Lake Michigan in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, this town has proudly flown under the radar for decades. It was once a bustling port town in the logging and iron shipping days, and some of that rugged, hard-working DNA still lingers in the local culture. These days, Escanaba is more about quiet streets, friendly neighbors, and lakefront views that rival anything on the coast without that coastal pricing. The average home value here is only $173,000. That is not bad. That's like cash in your overpriced condo in New York City and move here. Live happily ever after with like $500,000, $600,000 cash in the bank. Locals will tell you about Yooper pride, pasties, and a tight-knit community that helps each other out when the winter rolls in. And yes, it gets cold, but Lake Michigan is right there, so when summer rolls around, you got summer swims, boating, fishing, right after the ice melts. Of course, you got mosquitoes too, but they're kind of a welcoming friend after you've been freezing for months. The livability score here is 76, which is not bad. Escanaba is proof you don't need oceanfront life to live a waterfront life and enjoy it. This is where real America is still alive and well, and it's not trying to sell you a condo with exposed brick to prove it. Number 7, Camden, Maine. Lobster rolls and lighthouse goals. Camden is one of those picturesque harbor towns that seems ripped straight out of a postcard or a PBS special about maritime life. It sits on Penobscot Bay, and from almost anywhere in town, you could see sailboats, spruce trees, and one guy painting the scene like he's auditioning for a greeting card company. It's been a destination for wealthy Bostonians for decades, and somehow it still retains that small town feel. Now, this is one of the more expensive ones on this list. I think it's actually the most expensive. Homes are a little pricier here. The average home value here is $667,000. So, it goes all the way up into $2-3 million. But for coastal Maine, that's practically a steal, especially when you factor in the ocean air, the charming downtown, and the views that look like a Hallmark movie. Camden's appeal is timeless. Cobblestone streets, historic inns, and a harbor that's both working and beautiful. Life here is slow-paced, but cultured, and that's how a lot of these small towns are. They're slow-paced, and I think that's why most people live there and most people move there. They want to slow it down. I would love to slow it down. The town has bookstores, art galleries, and enough lobster shacks to keep your cholesterol busy. The Camden Opera House even hosts actual performances, proving not every small town gave up on culture. They have a livability score of 78, which is outstanding. If you want waves, woods, and a touch of old money charm without needing a trust fund, Camden's calling. Number 6, Two Harbors, Minnesota, where the lake is basically the ocean. Two Harbors is tucked along the north shore of Lake Superior, and if you've never seen this lake before, let's just say it's less pond vibe and more, is there anything across that water? Originally a mining and shipping town, Two Harbors still has a working ore dock, but don't worry, that industrial feel doesn't overpower the stunning natural beauty of the surrounding area. Today, the town is a getaway to the outdoor adventure types, hiking in Gooseberry Falls State Park, or kayaking near the sea caves. And yes, lake caves are a thing. Sometimes people just call them sea caves, even they're on a lake. Anyway, weird. Nature's practically banging on your cabin door every morning, begging you to go outside. If you're an REI catalog in human form, this is your mecca. Despite the epic scenery, Two Harbors is surprisingly affordable. The average home runs around $291,000, which isn't bad. It's kind of a steal when you compare it to some coastal cities. For that, you get fresh air, uncrowded trails, and an actual lake breeze, not the air conditioner kind. There's a small town feel, but not the kind that makes you feel trapped in some kind of weird movie where Steve Buscemi shows up and starts killing people. Not like that. They've got a livability score here of 79. Two Harbors gives you 4 legit seasons, including one that could possibly freeze your face off. And it also gives you a community that still hosts festivals and parades like it's 1955. And honestly, it's kind of beautiful. Number 5, Havre de Grace, Maryland. Quirky name, cozy vibes. Don't let the name trip you up. It's French. It's fancy sounding, and it sits on the Chesapeake Bay. Havre de Grace has been charming people since George Washington stopped here back in the day, and probably said something like, yeah, I could vibe with this. It was even burned during the War of 1812, which for a small town is basically street cred. Today, it's an underrated waterfront town that feels like a hybrid between a small fishing village and an artsy suburb. It has a legit boardwalk, a maritime museum, and the kind of walkable downtown that screams Sunday brunch followed by antique shopping. Antiquing. And in the South, you go garage sailing or yard sailing. Think colonial architecture with a waterfront breeze. And thankfully, a price tag that hasn't gone completely off the rails yet. With an average home value of around $407,000, it's not a bargain bin find, but still miles cheaper than other actual ocean towns. Plus, it's just an hour from Baltimore and Philly, so you can get your fill of chaos when needed and still return to your quiet little harbor town. The livability score here, a solid 81. That includes clean streets, local events, and a piece of life that makes room for things like an evening stroll and conversation. Havre de Grace isn't just a place, it's a feeling. And it doesn't even care if you don't pronounce it right. Number 4, Astoria, Oregon. Fog, fish, and 1980s nostalgia. You might know Astoria as the filming location for Goonies, but trust me, this little town is more than just a pop culture footnote. It sits right where the Columbia River crashes into the Pacific Ocean, and when it's not being socked in by fog, it's absolutely gorgeous. It was founded in 1811. Astoria is one of the oldest settlements west of the Rockies. It's got Lewis and Clark energy with a healthy dose of modern weirdness. And it's a little weird up there. I go up there occasionally. The people at Dutch Bros were incredibly nice, and I got some video. If I find it, I'll put it on this video. I don't know. They were nice kids.
Hey guys, come back here. Welcome to Dutch Bros in Astoria.
Very eager to be in a YouTube video. These days, Astoria blends maritime grit with a touch of, hipster revivalism. You got breweries and old cannery buildings, Victorian homes on hills that practically demand a leg workout, and enough coffee shops to keep the fog from swallowing your soul. It's coastal, it's quirky, and it's way cheaper than trying to buy anything within shouting distance of Portland, Oregon. Yes, for all its problems, Portland, Oregon is still expensive. They're breaking the rules. When you suck, you're supposed to go down in price. Not these people. Portland's raising prices. But for a coastal town in Oregon, Astoria's not terribly expensive, even though it's above the average. Their average home value here is $485,000. Now, the town is just on the coast, and it's beautiful, like I said, when there's no fog. So it's not cheap, but by Oregon coast standards, it's still a solid deal. Plus, you're getting that mix of ocean, river, and mountain views that don't require a $2 million price tag to buy real estate. With a livability score of 83, Astoria strikes a rare balance. Scenic, historic, and just weird enough to make you fall in love. It's not for everyone, but if you like a little character and a whole bunch of fog, welcome home. Number 3, Washburn, Wisconsin. Like a postcard from the 1990s. Washburn sits on the Bayfield Peninsula, hugging Lake Superior like it's guarding a secret. Maybe it is. This place is so quietly stunning, you almost wonder how more people haven't caught on yet. It's got sandstone cliffs, pebble beaches, and hiking trails that make you feel like you've wandered into an undiscovered national park. Washburn's roots are in timber and shipping, and while the old industrial boom is long gone, its main street still has a gritty authenticity. Today, it's mostly artists, outdoorsy types, and locals who enjoy the pace of life with more deer than traffic lights. You don't move to Washburn for the glitz, you come here for the stillness and the space. A little cold and fresh air. The average home value here is only $274,000, which might be the best value in the entire list, in my opinion. You've got lakefront access, clean air, and 4 seasons of natural beauty without having to take out a second mortgage or live next to a frat house pretending to be a ski lodge. They've also got a really good livability score here, also 83, and it earns every point of it. If you want a place that feels rooted, remote, and freshly real, Washburn is your lakefront ticket back in time, in a good way. Not like back when you had really bad hair, like stuck up and you went to Duran Duran concerts and, Flock of Seagulls. Not like that. Or you went to a hair metal band. We had some bad haircuts back in the 80s and early 90s. I'm glad those days are over. But I'm sure my mom said the same thing about her beehive hairdo in 1979 that she had back in the 60s. Number 2, Superior, Wisconsin, living large on the big lake. With a name like Superior, you better bring your A game. And luckily, this town on the western edge of Lake Superior does just that. Superior has always played second fiddle to its Minnesota twin, Duluth. But it's time someone gave this scrappy lake town the spotlight it deserves. It has a rich history of shipping, logging, and ore transport that dates back to the 1800s. And working class grit that still defines its character. Superior, again, like a lot of the towns on here, is not flashy, and it's not totally Instagrammed out. It's the kind of town where you'll find a mom and pop diner on every other corner, and a harbor that's more functional than touristy. But that's what makes it so appealing. It doesn't pretend to be trendy or chic. It's a lake town with heart. That's what it is. And it's affordable. Again, this is Wisconsin, so you're going to deal with some cold, but that's part of the reason it's affordable and has next to no crime. The average home value here is only $225,000. Want a 3-bedroom with a backyard and maybe even a detached garage? You'll find it here without having to rob a bank or start an OnlyFans page. God, those girls make money. I read a whole article on them. Just hand over fist. One girl on there was shocked because she only made $300,000 one month. That was one of the worst months she's had all year. I felt bad for her. It was so sad. She didn't know what she was going to do if this was going downhill. I mean, she's 19 and she's trying to make enough money to last her entire life. Myself, I wanted to jump through the screen and shake her, but no. Anyway, back to the video. With a livability score of 85, Superior offers affordability, authenticity, and access to one of the most powerful freshwater bodies in the world. If you want waterfront living without the usual pretentious price tag, Superior lives up to its name, quietly and proudly. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to one of these waterfront towns, there's a link for a website called Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country, and they'll help you on your journey into moving to a small coastal or riverfront, lakefront town. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Sandusky, Ohio. From roller coasters to real estate wins. Now, like most of you, when I saw Sandusky, I thought, this is wrong, and I had to check because their livability score is outstanding. And I had to go to other places to check their stats to make sure where I normally get my stats wasn't just, hitting the crazy train. But no, Sandusky, Ohio has excellent stats. Most people know Sandusky because of Cedar Point, the roller coaster capital of the world. Myself, I think that's Magic Mountain out near Los Angeles, which has the best roller coasters. I haven't been to Cedar Point in 30 years. I got to go back before I make a serious judgment. But what people don't know is that this Lake Erie town has been doing some serious glow-up work in recent years. While the coasters scream overhead, downtown Sandusky has been quietly reinventing itself with new restaurants, breweries, parks, and a marina that looks way fancier than you'd expect from Northern Ohio. I looked at some of their stats from 10 years ago. They weren't great. Now, outstanding. This is like the comeback kid here. The town has industrial roots. Steel, coal, and shipping were all big here, but it's slowly morphed into a budget-friendly lakeside destination that isn't trying too hard. Think revitalized waterfront, walkable streets, and enough old brick buildings to remind you that this place has been around the block. And the best part? Homes here, on average, are only around $147,000. It's not a typo. You can live near Lake Erie walk to the water, and maybe even hear coaster screams in the distance, all without going broke. For retirees, remote workers, and anyone wanting to stretch their dollar, Sandusky is an easy win. With a livability score of 86, it ranks the top of our list, not just in affordability, but in balance. Their work-life balance here is incredible too, probably because most everyone's retired or a remote worker. It's got enough to do, plenty of charm, and a future that looks better than its Rust Belt past. If you thought Ohio couldn't pull off a coastal cool list, Sandusky would like a word with you. Alright, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.